Haud
Yer
Yer
Wheesht.
Wheesht. Hello and welcome to Haud Yer Wheesht, the podcast where we do everything but Haud Yer Wheesht. My name's Erin, aka Beauty Creep on YouTube, and today I'm joined with Mosco,
Hey!
aka Wee Scottish Lass, and Shaun, aka Shaun Vlog.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
Hello.
hello. Hello.
So in this week's episode, we'll be talking about embarrassing and awkward moments, something which I'm very familiar with and I like to talk about on YouTube. So I thought we could go between sharing our stories but also sharing listener stories, which I asked for on Twitter and Instagram. And unfortunately we can't share them all, but I did get some absolute belters, so
Nice.
yes. Also,
Yes.
I'm not going to lie, right? I have about 18 embarrassing moments written down here, and obviously I can't tell them all. And I don't know which ones I'm going to tell yet, but I'm
Have
so
you
excited.
got any that you've not said on YouTube yet that you could give like exclusive access to on the podcast?
No, but a lot of these stories are private on my
Yeah.
channel,
Ooh.
so it's only like
Okay.
the OGs all know these stories.
When I was thinking about these
So-
stories, right, I realised something, that all of my stories all kind of come from about the time when I was like a teenager. Is that the same with
okay.
you guys, or was yours more spread out?
No, mine are all pretty recent. Mine are pretty spread out, but also a lot of recent ones.
Mine's, my most embarrassing one was when I was about 16, 17. But my one of them is from the other night. I tweeted about it.
Oh, right, I didn't see that.
Yeah, did that? Oh my, I'm so excited.
The Twitter algorithm.
Mosco's a little bit nervous, and I'm so intrigued by
Yes,
what
yes.
she's going to tell us.
I will save that story for last, so people will have to listen all the way through to get that one.
So does anyone want to share their first story?
Already? Jeez. I feel like we're
Go for it,
let's
Shaun.
get into it.
right into it.
Because we've got a lot to get through.
We've got a lot to get through.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm so sorry everyone in advance. Hopefully it'll give people a bit of a laugh though, and a bit of a light-hearted conversation.
It should be lighthearted, especially as well because the last
Yeah.
few weeks have been really intense with like Russia and all the rest of it going on. And by the time this podcast is out, like we record it a whole week ahead, we never know what the situation's going to be. It could be much better, it could be much worse. So anyway, there's been a lot of crap going on, so it's good to have these kind of lighthearted and jokey chats.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I think we're all glued to the news just now.
Yeah.
And
And it's not like we're trying to make light of anything. We're just trying to have a bit of
No.
fun and also acknowledging the fact that there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but also let's laugh at ourselves.
exactly.
Yeah,
We have
come
to.
and laugh at us.
You don't laugh, you greet.
Well, yeah, I've got a few. I've been trying to think about like the stories that I have, and there's probably a couple that I'll never share with anyone, and then there's a couple of like bad ones that I've never really talked about before.
Share
I
all
don't
the
know,
bad ones.
I should just go right in there with probably one of my worst ones.
I'm so excited.
Oh man, it's kind of weird because I've never really talked about this before.
I wasn't. I'm actually like, you should see the state of me right now. I'm like, oh.
You excited? All right, okay. Should I go for it? Should I go in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, go
Oh
for it.
man, I can't believe this. All right, okay. So when I was like a teenager, I think probably about 14-year-old, something like that. I was never like a bad kid at school or anything like that. I was never like a troublemaker. I was always like, I never liked to rock the boat or anything like that. I was always kind of quiet and did my own thing, and never got in trouble at all, like with the school, with teachers, nothing like that. I was never like a bad. I mean, I wasn't like pupil of the year or anything like that. I wasn't like good at studying, but I would never get in trouble. And like,
Alexandra Burke would not be a fan of you then. She likes bad boys.
all right, yeah. Well, that maybe that
I'm so
Erin,
sorry.
That was terrible. That was so bad.
just as you're saying that, maybe
I had to
that
start off there.
maybe that explains quite a lot. I was not a bad boy. Anyway, there was one day that I was quite a bad boy, but I wasn't really. You'll,
I'm sorry, I'm lost it.
you'll find out. Anyway, so I was on the bus one day, right, sitting on the back seat. I can't remember if I was downstairs or upstairs. I think I was upstairs.
Oh, like
on the
a
back
real
seat.
bad boy.
Aye, and I thought to myself, I can't be bothered today. You know that? I cannot be bothered going into class. I think I had like some homework to hand in that I hadn't done or something like that. And I was thinking, what if I just stayed on this bus? Like, just stayed on it. And then if anybody said anything, I'd be like, well, I just fell asleep.
Yeah.
I'll go into town and just do a wee run around on the bus and see what happens. And that'll be I'll just take like a day off or something. I'd never really done anything like that before. So we got to my school, everybody got off, and I just stayed on. And we went on our wee way. into town. And it must have been about half an hour later. The bus was somewhere in town in Edinburgh. And this girl was probably the same age as me, to be honest. Got on. And I don't remember too much about her other than the fact she had blonde hair. And I probably thought to myself, she's quite attractive. And she started speaking to me. I can't remember what the chat was, but she was speaking to me, and I was thinking, oh, this is pretty cool. And then got into a situation like, why are you not at school? And then we were like, oh, we both realised we were both skiving. It was quite a nice chat. Half an hour later, she said something like, do you want to get off the bus with me? And I'm quite hungry. I want to go. She's like, saucy. She said, I need to go and get something to eat. We'll go to the supermarket and we'll get something. So I was like, aye, no bother. Thinking, I'm in here. Well, hey lads.
Oh God.
So we got off the bus and we go into the supermarket. I was following her like really closely because she seemed to know what she was after. So I was like, all right, whatever, I will go after her, and stayed quite close to her. And she went to the alcohol section, and this was like Friday at like 10 o'clock in the morning or something. Like, who's in the alcohol section at that time in the morning? And then she reaches up. I'll never forget it. This kind of, from here on in, it kind of went in slow motion for me.
Oh no.
She reached up, got the vodka, a big bottle of vodka, and then stuck it down her top.
Oh.
And I'm thinking to myself, what the actual F is going on here? What should I do? So she said, just follow me. I was like, all right, okay. We're walking out, and then we got to the doors, and then we literally got jumped on from both sides by security guards.
Oh, Jesus.
And absolutely shat myself. Absolutely shat it.
Oh God.
And got hauled up into this room. It was, I tell you what, it was a Safeway. Safeways doesn't even exist. Do you remember Safeways?
Yeah, remember, did they not get absorbed into Morrison's?
I think they did, yeah.
Yeah.
Aye, that's exactly what happened. They got absorbed into Morrison's, but it was Safeway at the time. And I remember this guy, he was like the head of security or something. He was like a kind of 50-year-old man with a mustache, grey hair, but he was scary. He was like a scary man. And he was like interrogating us. And I was like, listen, mate, I promise you, I did not know what was going on here. Like, I just met this girl on the bus. And then she started coming out with a total opposite story. That we'd known each other for years.
Oh, God.
And I was like, what? I swear, like, I've never met this girl.
Cow.
And of course they had, I know. They had this whole thing on camera, like, the whole thing recorded. And he was like playing it to me. And he was like, you don't look like a person that doesn't know this girl.
Oh.
Like, you're obviously like friends and stuff. And I'm thinking, oh Christ, what's going to happen here? And then he said, well, tell you what, we're going to have to phone the police. I was like, what? Phone the police? Like, I didn't do anything. Like, I was thinking, I literally didn't do anything. This girl did it. I'm fine. And the police came, and they basically put us both in cuffs. I was bricking it. Like, totally bricking it. I'll never forget this. They said, you are an accessory to a crime. And they were like,
an accessory.
They were like, you're clearly looking out for her. Like, you came into the shop and you were like guarding her. And then she started coming out with this story that we got to the front of the shop and a guy who was older than us apparently asked us to go into the shop for him and buy him vodka.
Oh my God. Get a better story.
I mean, of all the shite you could come up with.
I know. It was absolute bollocks. But anyway, the police were like, well, we're going to take you to the station. We're going to have to call your mums and dads. And I was just like devastated. I'd never been in trouble with the police before. And I was totally bricking it. They said, we're going to have to tell your school and all the rest of it.
Oh my God.
So like my life was just like falling upside down all around me. At this moment in time, I couldn't believe it.
You're like, this is going on my permanent record.
Well, yeah, exactly. They said that to me. They were like, this is going to be a permanent what do you call it? Criminal record.
I'm never going to play sports.
Yeah, I was like devastated. So they took us away, but I remember just before taking us away, the security guard got us. He said, "Listen," I think he had the word in the policeman's ears, like, "Let me scare the fucking shit out of these people." And he put me up against the wall and pointed his finger in my face. Said, "You, I've got your photo. I've printed it out, and I've got your name, and I'm putting it in every single Safeway store in Scotland. I'll never forget. He was like, I don't care if you're with your mum and dad. I don't care if you're with your granny, your auntie, your school teacher. You're never coming in one of our shops ever again."
Oh dear.
I'll never forget that. Like, he was literally screaming in my face. I think he said the same to the other girl. Anyway, They put me and the girl in different police cars and took us to the police station. The whole thing was like in slow motion for me. And it was a long time ago. Like I was like 14-year-old. And like I said, never in trouble. And I was just trying to think, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to say to my mum and dad? Like, I can't, like, nobody's going to believe me.
Alexandra Burke would have loved
like, even
this.
even as I'm telling this story, I'm thinking people are going to think that I'm like bullshitting. Like, obviously I knew this girl and obviously I was looking out for her, but I really wasn't. I met her on the bus like 5 minutes before.
But that's the thing, like Scottish people are so friendly and we always end up talking to random people in these situations. I think this is very believable. I talk to strangers all the time.
This is very believable.
Yeah, I mean, would you get off the bus with them and go into a Safeway and then all the rest of it?
You had a crush. It's fine. It's justified.
Yeah.
It's
You had
fine.
sticky fingers, but not the kind that you thought you were going to have after that date. Just kidding. Oh my God, can I put that in?
Erin.
No, but it was like that. I was thinking, wow, she was a good looking lassie as far as I can remember, and I must have been instantly like in love or something at that young age.
That's gotten.
Anyway, we were in the police station and we were getting like bollocked by these police officers and like reading out the charges, and they were like, "Gonna get charged," and they were like, "Yeah, you're gonna get charged because you're you're an accessory to a crime." And I just couldn't get over this. I was like, "That's going to be my
accessory."
They're like, "We're going to call your head teacher."
Were you like, my life is over?
I honestly, I thought my life was over. I was like greeting constantly, like just crying. And then we had to make like these proper statements at the police station, like what happened. And I told them exactly what happened, and they didn't believe it. Like they were like, "Just tell us what happened." And then I'll never remember. The girl started telling her story, like her statement thing, her story about like she got to the door and then some guy told us that we had to go and get this vodka for him and threatened us. Oh. And I remember I was like all snotty and crying, and I looked round to her and I said something like, "Why are you lying? You're just getting us in more trouble." Or something like that. I remember like she was like an expert, obviously, because she looked around and she told me to like shut the fuck up or something. I think she'd done this 1 or 2 times before.
Yeah, she wasn't used to a greeting guy next to her.
I know, she's probably
I'd be greeting as well. Nowadays,
I would too.
They went to my mum and dad's door, and I'll never forget. Eventually, when I got let out of the police station, I got into my car, and my mum was like, "Can you believe when a policeman knocked on my door and said your name? I'd almost hit the roof, thinking you were dead." Oh God! They thought like that's what my mum said.
Yeah, well, you would.
Obviously, when like a policeman knocks on the door and said, "Are you Shaun's mum?" You know, the first thing you think is like there's been an accident. That's what my mum said. She was so angry, and I told them the story, and I'm pretty sure they didn't believe me.
I don't.
It was just it was an unbelievable story.
See, when you said the policeman shoved you up against the wall, it reminded me of, have you seen those TikToks where the guys pretend they're being arrested and it's like they get thrown against the wall and they're like, it's that song that's like, "So shine bright," and they're like turning to the camera and like wriggling and doing these like seductive faces and all this. It's so embarrassing.
Talking of cringe.
I've not seen that.
Shaun, did that happen to you?
No, well,
so shine
to be honest, I think like the police were quite professional the whole time, and like I don't think they minded that much. They were just like going through the motions, like you're going to get charged, blah blah blah. Yeah. It was a security guard for Safeway who was furious, like he was mad.
It's probably the most action they've had all week.
I know, but he'd obviously been looking out for us. The moment we went in the shop at like 10 o'clock with our school uniforms on, he was probably thinking, this is a pair up to no good.
He was watching us closely.
Aye. Whole thing on video, like the whole thing on video. And you can see like when, at the moment when she put the vodka down her top, I must have like been looking around somehow. And they said that was evidence of me like looking out for her, making sure there was nobody watching us. It was really embarrassing. My mum and dad came to the police station, obviously went mental at me. And I was thinking, what's my granny going to think? What's my neighbours going to think? What's everybody going to think? Am I going to have to tell the story? And I just remember being like mortified by this whole incident for ages. And actually, when I got back to school the next week, I think it was, I got hauled into the head teacher's office to explain as well. So I was just like mortified even more.
You hadn't even done anything.
It was awful. I hadn't done anything. I was innocent. Like,
Shaun, I'm not going to lie. I didn't think I was going to be starting a podcast with a criminal. I'm not too sure about this anymore.
But as it turns out, when you're under 18 or 16, I can't remember which one, your criminal record gets wiped.
Yeah.
So it's like a juvenile, and it wasn't like to be honest, it wasn't like a big thing. Like it's not like a big criminal record or anything. I think it was worse for the girl because she literally got caught like stealing.
Wonder what
And I
she's
was an
up to now.
accessory, so
You were an accessory to the
I was
crime.
an accessory.
An accessory.
Just a bracelet.
I remember the guy said, if you flee with... Always the Scottish saying, I don't know if they say this other places in the world, but I remember the guy for Safeway saying, flee with the crows, you get shot with the crows.
Oh
You
my
you
god,
heard that saying.
so Edinburgh.
Oh, I've heard of that before.
That's such an Edinburgh
actually,
thing.
yeah.
It's not even crows, it's craws. They say, flee with the crows, you get shot with the crows.
The elderly people I support sing about crows, 3 wee crows sitting on a wall. Sitting on a wall.
Brilliant.
Oh, Jesus.
Such a Scottish word, craw.
You know.
Aye. So I've always remembered that saying, in association with doing bad things. If you're basically, and with somebody who's doing something bad, you get blamed for it. But it's not like, even looking back at it now, it's not that big a deal, really.
No.
Like I know I didn't do anything wrong. I never had any bad intent. I was just like, oh, I met a nice looking girl, and I'm like,
You don't have to justify yourself to us, Shaun.
I'm trying to justify it though. I feel embarrassed.
Yeah, no, you don't.
But-
You don't. No, don't.
But the thing is, like,
Trust me, you're not going to feel embarrassed once me and Erin share some
Wait,
stories.
just
trust
oh
me.
Can I
god,
wait?
please, just wait. Holy
No, it
moly.
was. I remember being really, 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 really embarrassed at the time for like months and months after. And like, I know that guy for Safeway was bullshit, and he never put my posters anywhere near Safeways, any other Safeway around Scotland, like he said he was. But I never stepped foot in another Safeway, and I was actually really glad when they closed, because that meant I could go in Safeway, Morrison's, I think it was.
Well, he was sure
Morrison's.
keeping Safeway safe. Yep,
Aye,
Yep.
there you go. He did doing his job.
he was.
But yeah, that's. I'm trying to think. Like now, am I embarrassed about that? Like, it's kind of an embarrassing story. It was embarrassing at the time.
Character building.
Aye,
Yeah.
but it was embarrassing. Like I got taken hook, line and sinker.
Aye.
Hook what?
Hook, line, and
Hook,
sinker.
line and
Yeah,
sinker by this girl.
Line.
Hook, line, and stinker. Oh.
Just flash a bit of blonde hair in front of me, and I'm off.
Who's just started? That was
That's
good.
my wee story.
That was
I've
good.
got other ones as well, but I'm gonna
That's
I'm gonna
good.
save them. I'm gonna keep them dry for later.
What do you guys think about falls?
Falls.
Do you
Like falling over.
Do you think that's funny? Do you think it's silly? Or what's...
It can be
It can
very
be
funny.
very
It
funny.
depends if
Like-
you're like, if I see someone on the street falling and I don't know who they are, I'm
Mate,
gonna laugh.
I check if they're okay first, but I will probably laugh.
Falls?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a family member,
Yeah.
probably not gonna laugh.
And if it's an old person, obviously not going to laugh. But I think falls are some of the
Well.
most funny things in the world. Like, I remember, you know how when like something embarrassing happens and you fall and someone says, oh, people that saw that aren't going to remember that, like, years later. Yes, I am one of those people that remembers every fall I've witnessed in my life.
Wow.
Really?
So don't fall
love
in front of Erin.
falls.
Just don't fall.
have you ever watched like a YouTube compilation
Have
of
I
falls?
ever
People falling?
watched a YouTube? Sometimes me and my friend Amy will just sit and drink and watch a fall compilation.
That should be a YouTube video. You should make the video. I want to see you.
Wow.
I want to see your reactions to
We
this.
sit and cry, or sometimes we'll
Wow.
reminisce about all the falls we've seen and we'll sit and cry about them. And honestly, but I have some belters. Like, oh, I just see when it happens to me, it's not funny.
Oh yeah, I can.
Like, I
Yeah,
get
it's
so
not funny when it happens to you.
embarrassed.
But
Like I'm haunted by the falls that I've done because they're just not even just falls. They're just like, for example, I'll share like the big one. This happened after I used to go to uni. Like when I came out of high school, I went to university for 2 years, dropped out after 2 years, and I don't know why didn't have to add that part in, but I had a psychology exam. And
setting the scene.
yeah, setting the scene, had an exam. First to leave the exam hall, and I was walking down these stairs, right, and it was like a red carpet, big wide, you know those wide flat stairs, and it just like, you couldn't really tell what was carpet and what was
Yes,
stair. I don't know.
I
it was
hate
just so,
them.
like, yeah, it was one of them, right, and there was about 200 people behind me, like walking out this exam hall, and I don't know what had happened, but I just like misjudged my step and just tumbled down the stairs. And I landed in the fetal position. I don't know how it happened, but I just like tumbled and then landed in a heap at the bottom in front of everyone.
God.
And my phone's ringing. Sorry about that. Yeah, I landed in the fetal position and I was so embarrassed. And then when I ran out the hall, I saw my friend. I said to him, I went, oh my God. And he went, I know that exam was so hard. And I was like, no, I just fell down. I flew down the stairs. Like, I didn't even what am I saying? I didn't even fly. I tumbled. Horrendous. That was probably one of my worst falls. But I have...
Is that the type of one you wish you had filmed?
Yeah, I would love to see that. I wish there was like CCTV or something.
If you were watching yourself, you would have laughed.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, for sure.
Oh my god, you guys are so mean.
One thing I want to say though, right, about like the whole embarrassing topic is like I think there's like a big spectrum of people who get embarrassed about stuff. And for me, like, it takes a lot to get me embarrassed. Like, it takes something big, like small things. Like, okay, I'll have a minute of embarrassment, but like I've always been really good at like dusting myself off and saying, whatever, like it happened and I'm never going to see these people again, basically. Like, and then walking off and then like just forgetting about it and then like maybe laughing about it later. But like, I know there's other people who, if something like that happens, they'll think about it for like weeks and months, and it'll no leave their heads.
I'm haunted by
even, like,
so many things that have happened to me, and it's not even like a lot of them aren't even bad. It's just like things that I've said to people, and I think about it, and I'm like, ugh.
Sticks in your head.
Yeah.
Because I know it can. Like, I can get those feelings as well, but also I try and just remember I might never meet this person again, and I don't really care what they think about me, and like I'll just move on.
Teach me your ways.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, it's not nice, that anxious feeling of just like thinking about it forever. Like, because I can get that as well if I let it fester.
It totally depends on what it is for me. Like, a fall I can shake off within seconds, but if it's something quite extreme, then 14 years later, I
still remembering it.
I still remember it.
Specifically 14 years later.
Yeah.
Yep. I feel like there's a story coming.
I know, I'm so excited.
There will be.
Speaking of like something that's haunting people, right? I've got this friend and he sent me a tweet with one of his embarrassing stories, but I'm going to tell one of his other stories that happened a while back.
Because what a shame.
I tell it to everyone because it's one of the funniest things I've ever heard, and it's just so silly.
I love these stories because somebody I don't know, I can be really judgy and laugh.
No, because I know him, like I just know he would still think about it and die. So he was walking across like it was in Balloch. There's a pub in Balloch that we all really like, and to get to it you have to cross a wee bridge, and he was walking across this bridge and he saw his pals he was meeting in the distance, so he was kind of walking towards them, and he decided the whole way across the bridge he was going to dance like Michael Jackson. So he was like moonwalking and twirling and grabbing his crotch and going hoo and like just like doing like the whole way over the bridge, and he just kept it going on and on and on, and he finally got to them, and yet it wasn't his friends.
It wasn't him.
But none of them acknowledged it, so he just like walked away like wanting to cry.
Imagine those people though, they must have been thinking, what is this guy doing?
No, they would have watched him from a distance walking towards like doing all these weird moves and thinking, oh my god, there's a weird guy coming towards us, what do we do?
Brilliant.
And honestly, he has so many stories like that. He's a riot. I'm sorry, Jerry, but you're a riot. And so funny. And I got some other like funny stories on Twitter, but they're quite short because they're tweets, but some of them are quite good. So one of them, speaking of falls, Ron says, my dad once picked me up on his bicycle after school to give me a ride home. He sat me on the crossbar. My pant leg got caught in the spokes of the front wheel, and we went ass over tea kettle in front of all my friends who were walking home at the time. I was 7. That is something that I would remember like to this day if I saw that. For sure.
Pretty funny. And also,
that was
like,
beautifully tweeted ass over tea kettle. That's just great.
That must have been an American saying, but that, like, you could almost die for that.
I feel like it's a southern. I don't know anything about that saying, but I feel like I can imagine someone going, we went ass over tea kettle.
I thought they didn't even have kettles in America, actually.
This is a lie. He's probably not even American.
Yeah, might not be.
But oh my god, I just love stuff like that. And another one that I got was from Ali, and she said, last Thursday, so this is very recent.
Very recent. She's probably still thinking it.
I was trying to send a message during a meeting saying my eyes were swollen and puffy, allergies, and instead I sent swollen and pussy to the entire company. Everyone almost quit in the spot.
Brilliant.
See, I'm sure you can relate to this, Shaun, because you have a lot of typos.
Oh, so I do, yeah. What was that one I did before? Com.
Oh, com. That was the first one.
Oh, yeah.
I do a lot. I've got I call it fat fingers. Like, I just... But the truth of the matter is, right, and I think you guys don't believe me, is because I've got 2 languages on my phone,
Sure,
right? So
whatever.
I've got Brazilian Portuguese, and sometimes it like mixes between the 2, and then I don't know why, like, it automatically changes all my words, like auto predict text or whatever it is. Then because I type fast, like, and I just hit send, like I don't even check it.
I have like, there's quite a lot of embarrassing social media type things. Like have you ever I don't know how this happened. Like, you know how when sometimes you get into a wee hole online of creeping on someone that you don't know, and it's just like you found them through someone that you were creeping on face. Like, I don't go on Facebook anymore.
Your name makes sense now.
Well, I don't go on Facebook anymore, but I like to just like, I don't know, I used to like find people, I'd be like, oh, who's that? I recognise them, and then from them I'd find someone else and blah blah. So I remember I was looking at this, I was on this girl's profile and I can't remember who she was or what, but I managed to tag myself in her profile picture and then and then I was on my phone and I couldn't figure out how to untag myself. So I had to wait till I got home from work so I could go on my laptop and untag myself from my laptop. So I was just tagged in her picture for God knows how long. I was so embarrassed about it.
Do you know what vibes that gives me? Is remember the Friends episode when Monica's trying to like listen to, oh God, what's his name? The older guy that she was dating, I can't even remember, but she's like trying to listen to his Richard.
Oh, yeah,
She's trying to listen to Richard's voicemails, and she ends up leaving changing his answering message.
Oh yeah,
of his machine. That's the vibes that gives me.
But you know, there's like the modern day version. Like I see this all the time on Twitter. Like you get these threads that just explode, or like you see it, you know, when you're like listening to Radio 1 or something, and like somebody tells a story, and you hear the same variation of it over and over again. And if this happened to me, this would be I would be genuinely embarrassed by this. Like when people are sending like a kind of maybe like a bit of a naughty text to their partner, and maybe even they venture into nudes or whatever, and it's like they accidentally sent it to their mum.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh God.
Like you see that all the time, and I just think that is the ultimate. Like, I would die for that.
I've definitely sent the wrong text to people. It's like always when you're talking about someone, and because you're thinking of them, you send it to them instead by accident.
Or like an email at work when you're talking about somebody, or you're making like a slide dig and you end up sending it to the wrong people. And
That's
you're
pretty
like,
bad.
Shit.
That's pretty bad. But like, imagine like something like with your partner or something like that, like something a wee bit naughty.
Well, speaking of, this isn't really actually that naughty, but like, I promised people that I would explain my Twitter status.
Okay.
So my Twitter status went up yesterday, and it was, has nobody ever burnt their ass with a hairdryer?
Wait a minute.
Oh, I did see that actually.
Yeah. No, me neither. Well,
mate, they're lethal sometimes. Like
they are
not
lethal.
my bum, but something else.
See, when you've got them on the hottest setting.
Yeah.
They can be really fucking hot. Right, okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm one of these weirdos that see before I put anything on, I have to be completely dry. Everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everywhere has to be dry.
That's healthy.
And that's like between the toes and everything. So I'll use the hairdryer to just help areas along, like in between the toes and like underneath the breasts. The areas that like fold together and it's very hard to get airflow through them. You can probably see where this is going, okay? So with the towel, there's only so much you can dry between your ass crack, right?
Yeah.
It's probably the most sealed part of your body, and it's always still just a little bit damp.
Especially
So
if your towel's damp as well, and you're like trying to get in there, and it's just like damp, and you're like, oh, trying to find a dry bit. So, anyway, yeah, carry on.
Yes, so I don't like putting my underwear on when it's like that. So I'm not like putting my underwear on and like having a damp ass. Like that's just wrong.
Damp ass.
I will usually take my hairdryer and just give it a little blow to make sure that it's completely dry before I put my...
Mate, the images I have in my head right now.
I know.
Like, okay, we're talking about the actual between the cheeks here. We're not talking inside, okay? Get your minds out the guard.
But it doesn't matter.
Does that not give like a weird sensation? Like, I don't know.
Describe it, Moscow. Describe
It's really hot. It's really hot. No. Like,
well, that's the thing, is I usually have it set on cold when I do this. Like, I have it set to cool air, not to hot air. But yesterday I fucking forgot.
Oh no.
And, yeah, it was really fucking sore, okay? Really sore. So that was when I put my status up. And so Jurassic Lion on Twitter, the legend that they are, says, "Does this make you wee Scottish burnt ass?"
Wee Scottish lass, wee Scottish burnt ass.
Like,
hey.
Yes. That's me.
Good. Like, I remember doing it, because, like, when I had longer hair, and my hair went over, like, because I can't, this is, like, too much image for people, but I get too warm when I dry my hair, so I tend to wear as little clothes as possible. And, like, when I was brushing over, you know, the bottom of my hair, and I burnt my nipple, when with the hairdryer, like
Ow.
you did with the hot air. And I remember, like, this was when I lived with my parents. This was like when I was a bit younger. And I remember saying to my mum, like, I've just burnt my nipple. And she was like, she used to always say aloe vera for everything. But aloe vera. So yeah. Aye, burnt ass and aloe vera nuts.
Yep.
Great times. Oh dear. That was a good story. I enjoyed that.
That was meant to be one of my quick ones. I've got.
Oh my
I've got
god,
others.
That was a
there's
recent
fucking
one.
So many, like,
That was a very
silly
recent one.
ones.
Yeah.
Like, most of mine aren't too long, but they're so stupid. See, when I'm looking at this list, I'm like, how?
You've got a list. I can't
I have
believe you've got a list.
Huge list. It's ridiculous. Like, oh, I can't even say. I was going to read out some of the things, but might as well just tell another story.
Go for it.
Go for it.
So, have you ever got into someone else's car by accident?
Oh god, I've heard other people talk about this. Oh god, please.
What do you mean, like,
tell us.
yeah, I've been in other people's cars, but like.
Oh
in what
yeah,
way?
that
Like,
sounded weird.
Thinking it's a taxi or something,
Oh.
right?
Well, basically, right, the story is, this was when I was in high school, so it's not as recent. We'll start like back then and work our way up. And me and my mum used to drop a paper off at my grandpa's house before I went to school. So my mum dropped me at the shop, I ran into the shop, grabbed the paper, ran back into the car, put my seatbelt on, went to hand the paper to her, and it was just some random woman. And I was like, oh, I just panicked, took the belt off, ran out the door, and get into my mum's car. I just burst out crying. I was that lame. Like, I just burst out. I was so embarrassed. And I was looking in the mirror and you could just see the woman in the car behind, like, crying with laughter. And I was like, oh my God. But actually it happened when I used to play badminton, and before badminton, or no, it was after, a guy got in my car back and he was so embarrassed. And to be fair, like, the car was the exact same as mine, the one he was trying to get into or meant to get into. And he got into mine and he sat down and he was just talking away, and I turned around and I just got into my car, otherwise I would have locked it, because I always lock the car when I was sitting in it myself. And he was mortified, and it was so funny. And I posted it on Twitter, and then his girlfriend actually replied saying, "This is my stupid boyfriend." Small
That's
world.
brilliant. But this is what I'm saying. Like, see, small things like that, when it happens to me, like, even at the time, I try and flip it around. So if I do something like that, like,
What you doing in my car?
I'd be like that. I'd be like,
No, this is my car.
what are you doing here? And if they give me a funny look, I'll just give them a funny look back. Like,
God.
and so, like,
They
I mean,
probably phone
I
the
probably
police.
wouldn't do that if I got someone else's car. But like,
Like,
I've been in a few situations. Like, I walked in a room and I wasn't supposed to be there clearly, and I've just been like, well, what are you doing here? Like,
The ability, okay.
get out of my room.
I don't know, a lot of times I can't control what comes out my mouth, and I just say things, and then it haunts me, and I just can't get over it. Like, there was one time, oh God, I tell everyone this, but I went to this wee Scottish shop nearby me, and it has a cafe and stuff like that, so I take quite a lot of my elderly people there for work. And I was with this wee woman, and we had our coffees, whatever, and I went to put the tray back, and as I was taking the tray up, it's this huge cafe, right, and it was pretty full, and I put the tray back and walked back over, and we were about to leave, and the waitress shouts over, she's like, "Oh, you're well trained," or something like that, and then without thinking, for some bizarre reason, I shouted back, "Aye, but I'm no toilet trained," across the whole cafe. And then I was like, why did I say that? Like, there was no reason for me to say it. And she just kind of looked at me, and I was like, I've just told this whole cafe that I'm not toilet. Why would I say that? It's just so stupid. And I think back and I'm like,
That's
why
amazing.
would I don't have an explanation for it. My brain just says things.
Most people should have known that you were joking, right? You would think, like, if I'd been there and you were a stranger and you'd shouted that, I would have laughed, but I would have laughed thinking you were joking and not laughed thinking you were being serious.
It's just
you
like,
know?
if the other people hadn't heard her, then it's even funnier, because it's just like this random woman's just shouting that she's not toilet trained in the cafe. But yeah, nowadays, like, when I say something embarrassing, I don't get embarrassed about it as much. I just laugh about it. It's more so like falls and things like that embarrass me these days. But there is one that haunts me. Sorry, I'm just telling all these stories here, and yous are
No, go for it.
not even getting a chance. There's so many. But this one's not even, it probably doesn't even sound that bad now as well. But I used to visit this lady in work, and the carers would come in like 4 times a day and get her changed and stuff. She was in a wheelchair, so she had to get other carers like double up, come in and change her. So she used to always have on Bondi Rescue, you know, that Australian TV show with the lifeguards, and They're all very attractive and they're all running about saving people. Well, that was on and I ended up loving it. So I was like, well, into Bondi Rescue. And then the carers came in and they looked at the telly and then they went, oh, you're just watching that for the bodies, right? Like, obviously meaning the lifeguards. But in my morbid brain, I just turned round to them and went, oh, there hasn't been any dead bodies in this episode yet. And then they were like, what? And I was like, what? And then they left, like, after they changed her. And then when they left, I was like, oh, they meant the lifeguards' topless bodies. I was like, and my brain just went to dead bodies, and they would have been like that weird lassie's just sitting thinking about dead bodies. And I, like, for some reason, thinking back on that, I'm like, ugh. But nowadays, like, if I said something like that now, I wouldn't be that bothered. But it's just like,
that's because it was a great comeback.
Why would my brain go to dead bodies?
Like, it felt like such a good comeback. Like, they were obviously teasing you, and you just shot back going, nobody's dead yet.
Yeah, but I think it's because I was being so genuinely serious. Like, oh no, there's not, there haven't been any dead bodies in this shit. Like, I was being so serious. But yeah, that's a more tame one. Does anyone have
you got any, like...
Oh.
I was just thinking, has anyone got any, like, kind of dating embarrassing stories? I've got one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who was that? Was that you, Tommy?
Yeah. You go, Shaun.
Right.
Your turn.
This is kind of embarrassing, but it's also a little bit sad.
Oh no.
Like poor me.
Oh.
Like, thinking about it now. Like, I'm not embarrassed. Like, that's the thing. I don't get embarrassed easy, but it's quite embarrassing, but it's also kind of sad. Like, so when I was like, I can't remember what age I was. It must have been 17, 18 maybe. Maybe 18, but it was probably 17. I'd been speaking to this girl who I can't even remember her name, but online for ages and ages. And I knew she was from Edinburgh. And then one time she was like, we should meet up. We should go to this pub that I know that, you know, a lot of my pals go in town. So I got all dressed up. Well, in fact, I've got another story. I've just remembered.
I've just remembered another one as well.
I remember the brilliant one. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing.
Right, finish this one and then tell us
finish
your
this one,
next
right?
Yeah, go
so
for
anyway,
it. Go for it.
This is quite short. So I went into this pub, right, and I walked straight through the door, and then I got into the door, and then I could see like a table of like these people sat down, and I knew from the photos that one of them was a girl. And she looked at two guys that were on the table with her, and like kind of shaked her head at them. And then two of the guys got up and said, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh, I was meeting someone." I said, "Well, we're the bouncers and you're not supposed to be in here. You have to speak to us first." I said, "All right." And then they basically said, "Get out."
It was a guy for
So
Safeway.
obviously, no, but it was obviously that the girl had like given them a hint that if I walked in the door and she didn't like me, she would like shake their head and like tell them to like boot me out.
That is so mean.
That is
just...
That is mean. I was like 17, but like I said, I don't
nice.
get embarrassed easy, so I just walked out and I was like, all right.
No, that's horrible.
Yeah, that's
don't
horrible.
do that to anyone, people.
I've got a really funny one.
Go for it.
That I just remembered. It's kind of dating related. I was speaking to this girl, right? Again, I must have been like 16. I was younger this time. This is another mean one, but it wasn't the girl.
no.
It was my friend.
Oh.
So basically, I was speaking to this girl for ages, and I've been speaking to my pal about this. I won't name him because he'll be embarrassed. I was like, oh, I think she likes me as well, and tonight might be the night or something. Because I'd been speaking to her, and she was like, do you want to come round to mine? She sent me this message out of the blue, and she was like, Shaun, I actually like you as well, and I think you should come to my house tonight.
Oh, hello.
And I was thinking, oh, hello.
I know.
And then I remember I was at work. I was working at the time. I was like the young person in the team, but I was in a really cool team at the time. And I remember I was speaking to this girl who used to work with, and I was like, oh, I've been speaking to this girl, and she's invited me around tonight. Like, what should I do? And so I remember that this woman that I work with, she took me out for lunch, and she gave me this whole like list of things that I need to do, like how I should turn up, but like all the stupid things. Like she was like coaching me. So anyway, I'm on the bus home, and I'm get home and I start getting ready, and then I get on the bus to go to our house, and as I'm on the way to our house, my friend, I can't remember exactly how it went down, but he called me like crying, laughing, and I was like, what's going on here? And he said, are you going to this girl's house tonight? And I was like, yeah. And then I think he said something that I said in the text message that only somebody who was reading the text message would have known, and he was like, sorry mate, that was my apprentice's phone, I was just winding you up.
So it wasn't actually her.
So basically, it wasn't her. No, it was my friend.
Why are people so mean?
But
It was cruel.
It was cool, but it was a practical. He's a type of practical joker at the time. But
Yeah, but there's practical jokes and then there's being a dick.
I remember slamming the phone down and being like furious. But then I actually thought it was pretty funny. Like I thought it was funny
Oh, that's
after
so
a while.
sad.
But like, then I had to go into work the next day and explain to the woman who I was working with why it didn't happen.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
And
yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to tell her why it hadn't
You're
happened.
like, oh, I just cancelled because I have so many dates.
I just said something came up and it didn't work out. So yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. But that was, yeah, I mean, that wasn't really embarrassing in terms of the date, but it was embarrassing because I told it was the embarrassing part was this woman from my work helped me like the day before, like getting all ready and like giving me tips, and then she was like waiting on me the next day to try and find out what happened.
Oh god, I have this like 80s montage in my head of you getting ready for a date, like dancing to music,
I
and
know.
like, shaving and all that.
Yeah, like all my best shirt, getting aftershave and all the rest of it.
Oh, that's so sad. I just remembered a dating one. I don't have very many dating embarrassing stories because I'm just like really, really good at dates. Just kidding. I haven't been on many dates. I'm like a long-term relationship person, so I've just went from long-term relationship to long-term relationship. But I did
Starts with dates though.
I did. Yeah, well, I did go through. It's been with people that I'm friends with, so it's not been like dating new people. So I went on a date with a new person, and I knew him. He was a friend of a friend, but I didn't know him very well. And we went to this pub. This is kind of embarrassing. I'm like, and we were sitting on this bench. It was like a pub with like benches on a table. What do you call it? Like picnic benches, but in a pub.
Aye.
Yeah, I don't know. Sounds weird, but so we're sitting on this bench and I'm just chatting and that, and I was like, oh god, I need to fart. But I was like, I can't let it out, so I kind of held it in. And you know how when you hold it in and your stomach does this sort of like stomach fart
Rumble.
thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think now that I think back, it must have come out but I thought it was like silent. I thought I'd got away with it, but the bench vibrated.
It was like a rumbler.
So yeah, so he
Incredible.
turned. But see if that was you, would you not just ignore it? But he was he turned to me and he went, "Did you just fart?" And I was like, I couldn't be like, no. I was like, yeah.
No, the first rule of these things is you always deny it. Always.
Oh, I can't lie though. I can't lie. But then he'd be like, well, what was it then? I'd be like, well, I don't know.
I don't know. Nothing to do with me.
Earthquake.
That's
My
when
granny
you
would
say
say,
something in your pocket and you were shifting your weight. I don't know.
But then it vibrated.
Yeah, I've got something in my pocket.
Oh, it's just my vibrator. So I'll switch it off. So
always deny it.
embarrassing.
Always deny it.
I have another really good fart story, but Tammy, I'll let you tell your. Was it your date one? Did you say you had a date one?
I've got not really so much a date one. Like this isn't the big story. I'll save the big story to the end. But like
I'm so excited.
I'm not. But anyway, this one's just a little one. I've actually got two stories. There was this guy in high school that I really had a big crush on, right? And he wasn't like. He was a nice. The reason why I had a crush on him was because he was a nice guy, right? He was not the best looking guy, and by any stretch of the imagination, right?
That's what
But
it's all
I
about,
liked
but-
him because he was so kind to me when very few people were. And so I developed like such a crush on him, and I have two embarrassing stories around this guy. Bless him, right? His name was Ryan, and the first one was me and my mum had gone to the cinema together, and I can't remember what it was we went to go and see. But anyway, we were in the cinema, and to any uterus owners out there, you'll know what it's like when that time of the month hits. But when your ass is squashed down into an uncomfortable cinema chair for that long, like you don't feel anything happening. And it wasn't until like we stood up and we walked out, and we got out into the light, as we walked past, like him and a group of his friends were there, and he was like, "Oh hi," and I was like, "Oh hi," and I just like turned around and walked away, and then my mum like got out, we got under some lights, and she was like, "Tammy, like wrap this jacket round your waist." And I was like, "Oh no, you've got to be joking," because obviously I was like, it had gotten everywhere and it was very noticeable, but I hadn't felt it because I'd been sitting down in the cinema for that long. But he must have seen it. If he did, he didn't comment on it, bless him.
Good.
And the second story was I back in my school used to get these bus ticket things, right? So you would get like your parents would pay for like a set of 10, and when you would get on the school bus, it would just like pierce a section of your ticket, so it would have like numbers 1 to 10 on this ticket, and that would be your bus ticket. So your whole 10 would do your whole week, because that would be 5 journeys, 2 each day, 1 in the morning, one in the evening to get home. And so you would buy the bus ticket, it would be like £5 or whatever it was, and then it would allow you to get into school and back home again. Anyway, Ryan didn't have any money for the bus, and he came up and he was like, under his breath, and he was like, "Tammy, have you got any like, have you got any way that I could get home today? And I was like, well, I've got a bus ticket, so like I'll just let the bus driver punch a hole in mine and that'll get you on the bus. And I was like so excited to be able to help him, because at this point he'd helped me loads with certain things. And he'd stood up for me as well with certain things as well. He was such a nice guy, and I was like so excited that like I was going to be the reason that he could get home, and he was even talking to me and giving me this sort of time of day and attention. And I remember walking out, and there were two, you know how you get like the mean girls, like the popular assholes. We had like two of them that used to, the main head honcho, she was actually all right, her name was Sabrina, and she was actually pretty decent. I had a few run-ins with her where actually we got on quite well. But her two cronies, Elizabeth and Natasha, I'll never forget them, and I am naming them. And
name and shame.
They were just like bitches. They were just horrible to everybody. And I remember that they were standing at the side of where like the entrance hall was, and the atrium to this school had these giant like marble pillars. They were quite nice. They were like fake marble. They weren't real marble, but they looked really nice, these big white pillars. And I was so excited with like my bus ticket, and I turned around, I was talking to him, and like I was walking really, 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 really fast. And little did I know that as soon as I turned around, I walked smack right into one of the pillars. Only in front of him, but in front of those two lassies as well. And they just burst out laughing, howling with laughter. And I was so fucking mortified. I tried so hard to play it off, and he was so kind. He ran up and he was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I was just like, I wanted the black hole to open up in the floor and just swallow me there and then, so I didn't have to deal with life ever again. And that's it. Yeah, those are mine.
Yeah, that happens like, but running into poles and stuff in front of people. Obviously, when you do it on the street, like you can just shake it off. Like, I never run in a pole. You ran it in a pole.
Oh no, I get embarrassed about it in the street. No.
I ran into one when I was about 4 or 5 years old and knocked myself clean out. My mum had to like carry my limpless body up to the doctor's office. And I actually have a dent in my skull from where it happened. Like I can feel it right now.
That was a belter.
That is a belter, but I wasn't embarrassed by that because I was out cold, so go on.
Oh Jesus. No, Shaun, I don't know why I thought of this story earlier, but I think this might be written down, I'm not sure. So, the story doesn't start off very well. My old dog that I had a while back had a stroke, and I took him to the vet. I know it's not even funny at all. So I took him to the vet, and the vet was like checking him over, and we're in this like quiet vet's office, vet room, whatever, and he's just trying to listen to the dog, the heart with the stethoscope or whatever. And I just let out this fart. But it was the room was so silent, and I'm not joking, it was one of those like, how do I even describe it, creaky door fart, where it just lasted for ages, and it was just, we were just standing silently, and all you could hear is
trumpet,
like for ages, and I was just like standing there like listening to this all unfold in front of my eyes. And he didn't acknowledge it, I didn't acknowledge it. I think I said something like, "Oh, my
pretended
stomach,"
it
or
didn't
something. Pretended it didn't happen. I was so embarrassed, and I was just started sweating, and he was being so polite and didn't acknowledge it, but I was like, that was the loudest, longest thing
just
that could have happened. And like, I think farts, right? See, when other people fart, I think it's so funny. See, when it's an accident. But again, like, I don't like fart in public often. I get so embarrassed about it. But when it does happen, I laugh about it if it's with friends. But see, when it's like in front of people I don't know, it makes me want to die. So embarrassing.
It's quite embarrassing.
Especially the vet.
Can you imagine what he must have thought afterwards? Like, you left and she was like, "Did she just fart? Like, did I hear that?"
He's probably talking to the receptionist like, "That lassie just farted an absolute beast in there."
Don't go back in there for a while.
I'm trying to listen out to this dog's heartbeat.
I know, I thought you were coming in the door for a minute, but it was actually just her bum. Oh, so embarrassing. Oh, but I do love a good fart story, but not when it's me.
My car farts on demand. Like, it has a speaker and it farts like outside and inside. You can do it. It's not an embarrassing story, but I had my mum in the car the other day and I showed her the button and she pressed it and it was farting and she laughed.
Oh my God.
I've never seen my mum laugh. Like, she was so entertained by this fart button. She was like literally tears coming down her cheeks because she kept pressing it over and over again. And there's like different types of farts on it. Like you can press all the 6 or 7 different types. And she was like, honestly, tears were streaming down her face pressing this fart button.
God.
Anyway.
When you just mentioned your mum there, I just get a flashback to when I was quite young, and me and my mum, I think I was like early teenager, and me and my mum had an argument, and I stormed up the stairs, but with every step on the stair, I farted. So I was just like the whole way up the stairs, but I couldn't acknowledge it because I was so embarrassed. And I was so angry at the argument that I just like walked up and I could hear her just laughing downstairs, and I was like still like raging. Oh
That's
dear.
incredible.
We've all been there. No, I still have like so many stories written down, and it's ridiculous. Obviously, I'm not going to tell them all.
Please keep
but...
going, because like the longer you go, the less I don't have to approach mine, so we're fine.
Well, what one do you want? Do you want boiled egg exploded in the Starbucks, or do you want close the lift door on a baby, or do you want the fall and the last fall that I had? Take your pick. Oh yeah, oh my god, there was one. This is a wee stupid silly one, but one time in work, I had a mint in my mouth and I spat the mint out onto someone's daughter's leg when I was talking.
No.
And I got so embarrassed, I just like picked it off her leg, and I was like, I'm so sorry. So
I mean, it happens. I mean, I've literally sneezed on someone before, and like, you know, when you have a sneeze and it's like a big greener, it comes out and it lands on someone. But your choices are either admit it and then have to clean it off them, or just pretend it didn't happen and walk away.
Oh, that's gross. I'm glad mine was a mint.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah,
so bad about that.
The baby one was funny because I think that was actually exactly 3 years ago today. It's in my wee diary. Close the lift door on a baby. I didn't actually close it on the baby. Like, the baby was in the pram. It could have closed on the like, I don't know if those doors were going to like shut all the way and it was like some sort of final destination moment, but this woman was running towards the lift with the baby in the pram, and I was trying to keep the door open, but I looked at her and I thought I pressed the button to like open the door, but instead I just pressed the button and the door shut as she was pushing the baby into the lift, and the door just it looks like I did it on purpose. That was the thing, because I pressed the button looking at her dead in the eye, and it just looked like I was like, screw you and your baby. And the doors just closed slowly onto the baby, and then she like panicked and tried to like pull the baby out, and then the door shut all the way and it left, and I was like, oh my god, I'm such a horrible person. That's funny. Do any of you have any other ones that you'd like to share? Tammy, you don't need to share your shiny one yet if you want.
I don't know, I'm just trying to think. Like, I've got like a lot of little stupid ones. I'm trying to remember now. I don't have a list. Like, I've got one kind of story that I don't know if it's embarrassing or stupid, or it's probably more stupid, to be honest. When I was in Brazil the first time I went, it's more irresponsible than anything else. I'd say it's an irresponsible story. So I was in Brazil, right, and I got this job as an English teacher.
All right.
And it was out with this, and I was really young at the time as well. I was like 19, something like that. I was out there for kind of like gap year type of thing.
Oh wow.
In my gap year, I don't know if you've seen that video.
my gap year.
I love that video. Anyway, I was on my gap year. In Brazil, and I was teaching English in this factory. It was like for factory workers, and it was like probably an hour's drive outside the city. And the worst it was one of my friends that I'd met there, whose mum owned the school, who got me the job. They owned the English school. So anyway, I think I'd went there once. It was like my third day, so I'd been there once or twice before. And when you get up to the gates of this factory, there's like a security gate, and you have to show your pass before you get your security pass before you get in. And then after you get past the security gate, it's like another 5-minute drive through the forest until you get to the actual factory where all the people work. So it's really far. Like, to walk it, it's miles. Mm-hmm. So anyway, there was one night before I was supposed to start working. I think it was like my third day in. I'd been out on the lash the night before with all my friends, like until like 5 a.m. or something. And these schools, the English classes were starting at like 8 a.m, so really early. And I remember it was one of the other teachers that had agreed to pick me up every morning, and I woke up exactly as they pulled their car outside my door to pick me up to take me to this place. So I like scrambled around, just put some clothes on, whatever. Hair would have been a mess. I would have been like stinking for the night before. But anyway, I think it still ended up waiting for 15 minutes for me to haul myself out of bed and get downstairs. Got in the car. We went off to this, English school. Like I said, it was probably like a 45-minute drive away. In a country where I didn't speak any of the language, and it was really kind of foreign for me. got to the security gate, and of course I'd forgot my security pass. And because we were late already, I'd made this teacher late. She was like, I have to go in and do the lessons now, but you stay at the security gate and they'll sort you out with another pass. So she went in and she drove off, and like I said, it was like another 10-minute drive through this kind of foresty bit before she got to the offices where they do the lessons. And then I realised at the security gate nobody there spoke English, like, and I didn't speak Portuguese whatsoever, and I tried my best, but I could not explain to the guards like what I needed. I couldn't communicate with them. And I knew that this teacher's class was going to be like 4 or 5 hours, so I couldn't get through, and I couldn't wait at the security gate for like 4 or 5 hours, and I was going to miss my lessons. So I decided at that time, well, actually, I looked at my phone first of all to see if I could phone her, but of course, because I was out the night before, the phone battery was dead.
Oh no!
And this was in the days of like the flippy phones with crappy batteries and all that.
You don't have very good luck with security.
No.
Shaun.
I really don't. Yeah, I'm always like nervous passing them. And I decided the best course of action would be to walk home.
Oh God!
And it was like a 45-minute drive. And remember, this place is like tropical, so it was really hot. And I walked home. And I remember, it probably took like 6 hours to get back.
Jeez.
And I eventually got back, and when I told my friends the story, they were like, "You realise you walked through some of the most dangerous places." Like,
how did you even know how to walk back? Like, did you just walk back the whole road that you took, or did you?
So that's a good point actually, because I remember as we were driving there the days before, I remember we passed the airport, and then I remember the airport wasn't that far from where I lived, and I remember. And at the factory, I could see in the distance the airport, like I could see the planes coming in and landing. So as I was walking back, I remember thinking to myself, as long as I can walk in the direction of the airport, I'll make it back. I'll make it back.
Very clever.
But anyway, yeah, bit irresponsible, and I, of course, got fired.
Oh no!
Like, there was just no comeback for that. But like I remember telling my friends, and like, we can't believe you went, like, the places, some of the places like are outside the city that you walked through, like you shouldn't have been there, like alone, especially with no ways to contact anyone.
That's so bad.
So yeah, it was not really an embarrassing story. It's just like a bit of a stupid story, I guess, irresponsible story. But like I said, I was on my gap year and I didn't give a I was like,
that's my favourite thing ever. That's terrible.
That's that.
Tut.
By that time I'd become a rebel. Like I told you at the start
Seasoned
of
criminal.
this podcast, I was a good boy. By the time I got to my gap year, I was a raging
bad boy.
Bad boy.
Wow. Alexandra Burke's wanting you now.
I know.
Aye.
I think she's actually calling you.
Call up the blonde woman from the Safeways.
How did I go to talking about farting again from that? Just kidding. I don't have any more fart stories. Well, I probably do, but I'm not going to talk about
any more.
I feel like my stories are long, like really long and like long-winded, and maybe a wee bit boring. And you guys have got like short and to the point.
No,
my final one is definitely going to be longer because I've got a lot of explaining to do for it.
Well, I'll do another couple of stupid ones then first,
yes,
and then
yes.
I've definitely got a couple of stupid ones. So the first one, this is very quick, but I remember I was in a training session at work, and I didn't know anyone. I was the only one from my. You would be surprised. Didn't fart this time, but I did actually. There was like a big table of snacks and biscuits and like drinks and stuff, and I was like, "Ooh, eyeing it up." And I went over and like I leaned on the table, and the whole thing collapsed.
Oh no!
That's incredible.
Oh man, did the stuff just go everywhere?
It went everywhere.
You kind of say, "Oh, it wasn't me."
Yeah, you just like everyone looks round, it's just me like hovering over the snack table with everything on the floor.
You just ruined their day,
Oh my god!
The only reason people go to training is to get the snacks.
Yeah.
Another snack related one was this is so sad, it's not even embarrassing, it's just funny, but my ex, he invited me to his work night out, and his there was a thing with sweets, like a bowl of sweets in the middle of the table, and his boss is like, Erin, go and throw me one of the lollies. So I picked up the lolly and I just launched it, just absolutely launched this lolly, smacked him right in the forehead so hard that like he was so taken aback.
Oh man.
And everyone was howling, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I was like, I've just hit his boss in the head with a lolly.
That's
And then every time, like later on at the party, every time his boss passed me, he'd like kid on that, to hide and duck and all. It was really funny. But
Oh man, that's funny.
I
just remembered me of another kind of working out story, but
Ooh.
it's not embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for my wife. So
Oh,
that's why I'm a bit
Oh.
apprehensive. But I should tell it anyway because it's kind of funny.
You should.
Will she be okay with you telling it?
I think she'll be fine with it. So we lived in London. The first couple of years we lived in London, she was working at this place, and they were known for doing like really extravagant end of year parties, like really massive ones. And to get into it, you needed first of all to have like a wristband to get in. So, and it was only employees; it wasn't like external people. But anyway, someone from where she worked in the branch that she worked managed somehow to get like an extra wristband. And they gave it. They decided to give it to me and like see if I could sneak in. Yeah, so we went to this party and it was like proper amazing, like really extravagant. Everything was free, like all the booze they ever wanted. And
Milk bar.
Yeah, open bar. And I remember, like the people she worked with were really cool, and for some reason they loved me. So like I was like on the dance floor just giving it laldy, getting it laldy, and like. We were drinking like all different kinds of things, like shots and then all like cocktails and that. And then someone came over with a bottle of champagne, and we didn't even have glasses, so they were literally like, they said, "Put your head back and open your mouth," and they were like ramming it down my throat.
Amazing.
So I remember we were probably dancing for about 2-3 hours, but we were drinking it a lot at the same time. And I went outside for a breath of fresh air, and I said to my wife, "Are you coming out as well?" And honestly, as soon as I hit that air, I was out. Like, I can't remember too much. I remember kind of flashes from there. But, I'd basically drunk way too much. And the problem was, it wasn't even that much. I'd mixed too many things. And on the outside of this place, it was all part of the closed off party area as well. Like, only people who had the wristband could get in. And I remember just throwing up. It was next to some docks, like a really fancy dockyard in London. I just started throwing up everywhere.
No.
Passed out. 2 of our colleagues literally rammed their whole fist, it felt like, down my throat to get me to throw up.
Oh my
Sorry.
God.
To force me to throw up. What were you thinking there?
It's so funny. I mean,
Yeah, 15.
Honestly, but that's what I remember. I remember having their whole hand in my mouth and thinking, this is disgusting, what are they doing? But it was to try and get me to throw up. But anyway, I passed out. I literally passed out on this dockyard.
No.
Like, really, I mean, when I say dock, like, if we think in Scotland, you think docks, you think like that's a shithole, right? But in London, it was like a really fancy dockyard
Posh.
with like really posh, with like really fancy yachts and stuff, outside this really really nice place. And I was on the floor, passed out. Somebody called the police because I was unconscious. My wife was pretending she wasn't with me, right?
really not get any luck with security in place.
No.
I know, but then apparently, I don't remember this, but her director of HR came out.
Oh no.
Because there was like a confusion outside, lots of people around me on the floor trying to wake me up, and she apparently she said, like, "Who is this person? Like, I've never seen him before."
She's like,
my wife
just
was-
some weird guy that kept following us. I don't know.
My wife's like, "Oh, I'm not sure. I think he works in that other department or something like that." Like trying to pretend they didn't know me. But yeah, I also incurred an extra taxi charge on the way home because I think I threw up
Oh
in a
no.
taxi. So anyway, I was in the bad books for a very, very long time after that, and my wife was very
can
embarrassed.
imagine.
I mean, my stories are going downhill. I feel it's giving me a bad
this is
reputation.
so, that made me laugh a lot. That made
is-
me laugh. Well, I'll tell one more stupid one, and then Tammy, you can tell your.
Yeah,
your big
let's
one.
go. Let's
I feel
go.
like this next one, I think, is something that has happened to many people, and it's just one of these funny things I can look back on, and it is funny. So I was in a bar, went to the toilet, and it was like a really busy bar, and I came out and I ordered more drinks. I went back to the table. I was walking around talking to people, and then maybe about half an hour later we left. We were walking up the street, and this woman comes up to me and she goes, "Your skirt's tucked into your knickers, hen." And I was like,
no.
my entire ass was just out like the entire time, and I'm thinking, I walked around this whole bar with these big granny knickers on, my dress tucked into them, and no one decided to tell me. How rude is that? You think in Glasgow people would come up to you and
That's
tell
really
you?
rude. Like, if I ever saw anybody, like, I'm the person who instantly runs up to people
Same.
and helps get the toilet roll off their
Yeah,
their
I
shoe.
pick
Like,
stuff off
that's
people.
I'm that person. I'm like,
Yeah.
2 seconds,
I
stay
just
there.
thought it
And,
was-
you help.
But yeah, I was walking about with my... I feel like it's happened to a lot of people, but like back then I was like, oh, I'd had a few drinks, so I didn't really care at the time, but I just thought, God, that was a while. You know, that was a good while that I was walking about
So
with
everybody
these
in that bar scene.
Asda
Everyone saw it.
knickers. Yeah, so Moscow, you have a story that you were a bit scared to share?
Okay, right. Before I start the story, I have to preface this, right? I've got several disclaimers. Number 1, if you're family, please tune out now. Number 2, if you work with me in a professional environment, please, for the love of God, tune out now. For anybody that's friend or stranger, that's fine. You can stay here.
I'm so intrigued.
Right, this.
You're
God,
with friends. You're alright. We're not going to judge you.
This is going back 14 years, right?
A long time ago.
Not to be
this is
specific,
gonna
but...
Yeah. This is going to be a sexual story as well. It's about first time, right?
Ooh.
Okay.
So we're getting right into the nitty-gritty here. And, yeah, so that's why I don't want any of my work colleagues or family knowing about it.
Very fair.
I was about, I must have been about 16. I'm going to say I was about 16, right? And there was this guy that I liked. Like, I found him attractive. He was fairly attractive. And we'd started, like, hanging out, seeing each other, and spending a lot of time together. And the reason why I want to bring this story up is because I have told nobody this. Nobody has heard this story before. I have never brought this up anywhere. I've never told any of my exes this.
Wow.
Nobody has heard this story, right? But the reason why I want to bring it up is because online on YouTube, Mama Dr. Jones, her name is. I don't know,
Who?
Erin, if you've heard of her.
Mama
Dr. Jones. She's
No,
got
I don't
about
think I
3
have.
million subscribers or something.
I
She's
thought
quite
I did reckon it, but no, I don't think I do.
She does a lot of videos for people with uteruses and like the most embarrassing things that happen, and like, but she talks about it like it's all really normal, and she helps you feel really comfortable with the topics of discussion. Anyway, she did videos about these kinds of topics, and I was like, right, to normalize it, I'm gonna bring it up. I am officially gonna drop this topic of conversation. So
I feel privileged that we were the first one.
I know, I'm so excited.
so anyway, oh God, I'd been seeing this guy for a while, and things had started to get, like, we'd started to get physical. And this was like my first time. This was like the first time that anything like this had ever happened. And the first time was obviously me servicing him, because that's just easier, and like, you know what it's like when it comes to male versus, quote unquote, I'm saying gender this way, but like male versus quote unquote female anatomy. It's more likely that the guys are going to have stuff done first, and then it goes on to the girls. So that was just the way that it kind of went. And with him, like, we'd done stuff in the living room together. And it must have been embarrassing for him at that point, because he did something embarrassing, but he still kept coming back. So, like, I'll leave that to the end. But anyway, my story was when we were in, like, the family room, which for me was above the garage. So it had, like, a sealed door. And this is when things started to get a bit more heated. And we were on the couch, and we were kissing, and we were doing things, and his hands obviously went down inside my jeans. Now, the angle was really tight, and for anybody out there that has a uterus, you'll know that try to get hands down jeans and curling the fingers to get inside is really an awkward. It's really
Jeans
awkward.
are just awkward
like,
in general. Like,
yeah,
jeans are the worst.
Jeans are tight. They're so tight.
Screw jeans.
So it's really, really constricting, and the position wasn't great. Now, I didn't realise this at the time. Obviously, this was the first time I'd ever had anything go in that direction. And I had no idea that the angle we were doing things at was not ideal. And all he was doing, technically, God, was shoving air up inside, right? You can probably tell where this is now going.
I know where this is going.
I'm so excited.
Erin is living her best life right now.
Oh, this is great.
Oh, so, like, it felt weird. It wasn't comfortable. So eventually we were like, right, take the jeans off. So clothes started coming off, and the jeans came off. And he made his way downtown. And the minute he arrived,
I don't know. I'm just laughing at your awkwardness.
I'm laughing at Erin. I'm not laughing at the story. I'm laughing at Erin. She is
I know
absolutely
you
lost
think I
it.
was 5 years old.
Oh God! So he arrives at his destination, and I just queefed.
It's the words and the phrases like
Right in the face, right in his face. And it was
he hopped on the train to platform vagina.
Oh man.
Oh God!
Was
Anyway, it
was there a
so-
reaction?
Oh God, there was a reaction. Yeah.
I was like, what was that?
It was like, oh God. And then after, like, honestly, it was the most mortifying thing that has ever happened. But first of all, like, I want to say to anybody out there that has a uterus, right, that is really normal. So, like, if this ever happens to you on your first time, that's totally normal. Like, please, like, learn from this. Don't be as embarrassed. It happens to a lot of people.
I feel like Erin's left the building at the moment. She's just
I feel like
laughing
it's
on the
something
floor.
that we'll
crying.
all be able to relate to, but yeah, I'm crying.
Oh, so anyway, you know what's good to laugh at now, but like, and like his face. Oh God, I still close my eyes and get horrible flashbacks, PTSD to it. Anyway, needless to say, it was pretty much a case of making up excuses, got him out the door, and I never saw him ever again.
Oh,
But like, that was so mortifying for me that I, ever since then, have never let anybody, any sexual partner, go down on me ever. Since then, I've just never. It's never happened.
I feel like it's happened
female,
to so
none.
many people though. Genuinely,
I mean,
Yes.
I think it's
More
normal.
than likely, but do you know what? It's like
Very normal thing.
He bounced back from his embarrassing moment with me so quickly. Like, he was fine, and that was like when we were in the living room, and all I'd done was take my top off, and I was going down on him, and I hadn't even got my lips near him, and he just ejaculated all over my face. But he could bounce back from that easy. And I'm like, how is it so much easier for guys to laugh things off, but like not for uterus owners?
Oops.
I
So
feel like
it's about
I feel like that was like kind of. It was for both. He was definitely an embarrassing story for him as well. I mean, imagine how I would love to know how he tells the story.
Oh, I'm just laughing at how I'm pure talking about throwing a lolly at someone's head.
You want embarrassing? Well, we went there.
We went there.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's it. But yes, that is the story. That
No,
is
but
the
even
story.
like generally, during these sorts of things, air does find its way through the tunnel. And I'm just kidding.
It does.
I'm trying to use the same
This is
phrases.
what Mama Dr. Jones talks about on her YouTube channel, where she says it has nowhere else to go. Like, there's nowhere else
you think about it, it
physically
was his
that
fault.
it can go. So it absolutely was.
Blame him.
It was his fault.
For the first part of not doing it right. So
Maybe maybe that was his goal.
We were both just very inexperienced, and
Yeah.
things like that will definitely happen.
For sure.
I'm actually living for how much Erin lost it. That was just
Oh my god.
No, I was losing it. I was so mortifully embarrassed that poor Erin's going to have to edit round me laughing and trying
No,
to get
I'm
that
gonna
story
include
out.
it. I'm gonna include it because like you laughing was making me laugh even more. And it was the wee
I have
phrases you were using.
such a bad laugh though. I have such a
I don't know
terrible
why.
laugh.
I don't know why reaching the destination and all that made me laugh so much.
it's all the weird euphemisms.
It's like instead of like actually using the phrases, you're like he hopped over the rainbow.
He bought a ticket, destination unknown.
He fucking did.
That's so
he did.
funny.
He did not get a return journey.
He
No,
did not
he
get a
did
return
not.
journey.
No, neither.
That
of
was
us did.
a
We were like,
platform
that was it.
9 3/4 was firmly closed. Oh my god.
He Harry Pottered it
Anyway.
right into the wall.
Oh yeah. Avada Kedavra.
I think
Yeah,
it's
please.
very brave to share stories like that as well. Like
I know.
everybody's got stories along those lines, I think, but it's really difficult to share them. So,
Yeah, first time stories. I think
yeah.
a lot of people have got embarrassing moments.
definitely.
I think most people's first time is going to be like not disastrous, but
Yeah.
potentially never. It's not going to be the best.
I'm trying to think as well. Where do we go from that? Because like,
Yeah, there's nowhere else
So-
you can go.
Erin checks her list.
Anyway, so
Erin's checking her list. She's like, nope, we cannot go there anymore.
so far.
Farts.
Oh god.
Yeah, one time a boiled egg exploded. Just kidding. No, that wasn't a euphemism. That was. Oh my god. So that was fun. No, that was really fun. I honestly live for people's embarrassing stories. And see, on the back of this, please share your stories over on Twitter and Instagram. Tell us your stories.
And in the comments on YouTube, please make me feel better.
Oh my god, please. This is definitely not going to get monetized ever.
The funny thing is when people tell you stories as well, especially on podcasts because you don't see each other's face, but you kind of like try and like imagine the stories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. That's the funny thing about podcasts.
Have that. Oh my god! First we get her blowing her ass with a hairdryer, and then it just gets even. Oh, it's so good! I'm so excited.
But I had a very like clear image of Erin when you dropped the table.
Yeah.
Like I had that came into my head that happened and you frozen above the table. That was like a clear picture, and like I just wanted to laugh.
I thought you were going to say about Tammy's. I had a really.
Yeah, I was thought you was going to say that too.
No.
Oh my god, that's so funny. In the last couple of podcasts, we do a little segment, or we have done a little segment called What We're Loving. I feel like we have to come up with a name for that. But yes, we usually talk about things that we've been loving over the last 2 weeks. It can be anything from food to drinks to songs to books, anything. So do you two have anything that you've been obsessed over these last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't know. Do you want to go first, Tammy, or should I go?
I will preface mine by saying that Mama Dr. Jones, I'm just like, I binged a lot of her channel recently.
Dr.
And,
Jones, Dr. Jones.
Oh, that song. What was that?
Yeah.
Such a great
Calling
song.
Dr.
Dr.
Jones.
Jones, Dr. Jones.
Was that Blue?
Dr. Jones, where are you?
No.
No, not Blue.
Sorry, I don't know why that's so funny. No, it was Aqua.
Aqua. Of course it was Aqua.
It was, you
Oh,
were
it was
really
a
the right
colour.
colour.
It was a colour.
You're really
Yeah.
the right colour, Shaun.
Come on, Barbie. Let's go, Barbie.
No, Blue was like one for the money and the.
Oh, yeah. I knew it was.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking, I'm
Alright.
blue, abodina, but yeah,
Oh,
okay.
what a shin.
Aqua. We were obviously born in the kind of roughly the same era.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a Barbie.
But Dr. Jones, yeah, Mama Dr. Jones, she's got loads and loads of videos online, and she is like a doctor that specialises in uterus-based
Jones.
anatomy and all of that kind of stuff. So, yes, if you are interested in any of those kinds of topics, you want to learn more, you want to feel less embarrassed about what your body does, please go and check her videos out. She's very inclusive, so even if you're a trans man who still currently has a uterus, whether you're somebody who's non-binary that has a uterus, regardless of however you identify yourself, she is very, very inclusive in her videos.
Love it.
Cool.
Brilliant. Shaun, what about you?
So last week I told you about my obsession with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Very nerdy.
Yeah, you big nerd.
So, big nerdy. So, this week is a kind of another aviation theme. So, last week there was a big storm in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
I think I know what you're
Storm,
going to say.
You know exactly what I'm going to say. I bet you do, because it was all over the news, right?
Yeah.
But I think was it Storm Eunice? Storm Eunice, something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, there was this guy, a YouTuber, which I've actually seen his videos before, but he live streams outside airports. Like he live streams the planes landing and taking off. So this guy, he's got a YouTube channel called Big Jet TV, and he was out there filming, and then it went viral because obviously everybody was wanting to see what the storm was doing, and he was live streaming these like 100-mile-an-hour winds at Heathrow, and his commentary as the planes were landing was just absolutely hilarious. Like it was like he was commentating a football match, and it was captivating. At one time, like the live stream, it was like 250,000 people watching.
Wow.
And then like it started kicking off on Twitter where all the brands were getting involved, like Paddy Power were making jokes. Have you ever seen that? There's like a meme where like all these people are in a pub watching a football match and they're like anticipating as like the team goes up to score and like all the crowd is silent, and then when they score, like the whole crowd erupts.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So the one somebody turned it into a gif where like one of the planes that had to cancel its landing twice and it went around, it became like a big theme. Like everybody was waiting to see if this plane would make it, and so somebody turned it into a meme. Instead of the football pitch on the TV, it was this plane coming to land, and when it landed, everybody like erupted, and everybody was like, "This is like the whole of the UK right now, like waiting for this plane." So like it went viral. Everybody was watching. Like on that Friday, I think nobody got any work done because we were all watching Big Jet TV. The guy like. All these BBC reporters turned up in his live stream and were interviewing him live. The next day he was on like breakfast TV. Anyway, I thought it was genius. I like his videos. He loves planes. Big Jet TV, if you're that way inclined. and check him out.
I definitely saw a lot of people talking about that on Twitter.
It's very nerdy stuff, but at the same
Love it.
time, he's a guy who can commentate and make something like planes landing quite fun.
If he can make that
Yeah.
funny, that's interesting to me. Like, I'll probably check that out. I'll go back and look over some of the highlights of that video, I think.
Yeah, it
He
sounds
started
good.
that stream. Honestly, I was watching. He started the stream at like 9 or 10 in the morning, and he went until like 4 or 5 at night.
Wow.
Wow.
And he went from under 100,000 subscribers in that stream, and then it went to like 250, 300,000 within that stream.
Wow.
That's
Good
amazing.
for him.
Like he basically he overtook me in like that one go, which, you know, good for him. He's doing good content. People are watching.
Was his commentary like Tammy telling that story?
Oh, God.
It was something like that, you know. But it was like really excited about it. He was like, go on, son, get down.
So yeah, it's like,
I can't believe you went there.
sorry, Tammy. I'm never gonna stop bringing it up ever. It's fine.
So
The thing that I'm loving's very lame, and I'm not going to talk about it very much. But I love like crappy trash TV, reality TV, and I watched the new season of Love Is Blind because it is bloody ridiculous, and I'm currently watching the last episode that just came out today, and it's ridiculous. It's the weddings. So like it's like these people that go into these pods and they talk to people that they can't see, and then they fall in love and get married. It's just, and then they see them at, it's ridiculous.
is it American, that series?
Yeah, but they do also have an Australian one, and I think it's I want to say Japanese.
I think I watched one episode once and I was like, what is that? Like, is this real life?
Yeah, it's actually real. It's ridiculous.
It'll be parts of it will be very staged, but yeah, for the most part, it's quote unquote real. It's real as reality.
I wonder if
TV.
anybody-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but it's fascinating. It's so embarrassing. It's cringy, and you're just invested in these couples that are clearly not going to last.
I wonder if any of them have actually lasted. That would be interesting.
Well, have you heard
Yeah.
of the YouTube channel called Observe?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
The last time I found this guy when he had about 100,000 subscribers, and the last time I looked, he had about 500,000. I'm not sure where he's up to now, but it's called just Observe, just the word observe, and he is like a body language expert, and he'll do videos that range from like people that have murdered, and he's seen like the police body cam footage and stuff, and he explains everything to you about like what's happening. He also watches and reacts to a lot of like YouTuber apology videos, and he tells you when they're being real and genuine and when they're not, and it's really interesting like how he breaks down their body language. But he also will do, whenever he needs a break from the heavier stuff, he'll do like, he's done Love Is Blind and stuff before, where he'll break down how comfortable they are around each other, how uncomfortable they're making each other, you know.
That sounds
really,
interesting.
it's very interesting.
That sounds good. I'll have a look at that.
Yes, I'll link you one of the videos later, remind me.
Yeah, do it. Oh well, I've really enjoyed this. It was so much
That
fun.
was good fun.
I'm glad you guys had fun. I'm joking.
It was funny. It was a laugh.
Brilliant.
And yeah.
But yeah, so I
Enjoyed
guess
it.
it's time for us to finally Haud Yer Wheesht. But before we do, make sure you get the chance for your voice to be heard. You can rate us on Spotify and subscribe and like the video on YouTube. And then also feel free to send us your comments about this episode, which you can do by following us on Twitter at Haud Yer Wheesht, or on Instagram at Haud Yer Wheesht Podcast, or Haud Yer Wheesht on YouTube. So we'll be back again in 2 weeks' time. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and thanks for listening. Bye.